All right. Once again, Pep Talk UK, Pro Beez Benji, Ken, Monday Night Raw. Wow. Monday Night Raw, because I think there's going to be some raw shit said today. Some real shit. Okay. Lady Chann is running slightly late. So we'll kind of dive in to the events of the weekend. But I got to ask you, gentlemen, how you feeling today, first and foremost? Benji?
Hello all, back once again on your best place to get your news, reviews, boxing interviews, and of course these fantastic live chats. I tell you, Pro Beez, I'm happy, I'm smiling. I spent all day doing laminate floor. My knees are more messed up than a Soho working girl's. But I tell you what, I'm happy. It's great to be here. I joined you very briefly on Saturday night to partake in a bit of live watch along with yourself and Shoei, Denzel Bentley as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I'm hyped up. I'm ready to go for this live chat. And of course, Ken is here, the only man that I know that watches a gangster film to get himself ready for a live chat. Kenny, it's great to see you, my friend.
Good, mate. Good, great.
Kenny, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, it's been a good day. You know, it's Easter's coming up, and I was watching Once Upon a Time in London. It was very well acted. The actors didn't let me down. Terry Stone, I'm sure you've done work with him before. Pro Beez, you know, big on the Gary Seed in the late 90s, 2000s, and he's done a lot of gangster flicks. But anyway, it's been a fantastic weekend for the sport. You know, we had a great card on Friday and Saturday on BT Sport. Saw some lively fights. And we saw a very good card in the Rock and Gibraltar. Congratulations to Ted Teasman. Congratulations to Webb. And congratulations to McKinson, you know, in a 50-50 fight. We also want to sort of pay tribute to Wardley. I just want to say that, Melina, you did very well to come for your payday. I will deal with you later. But let's have a big hand for the body snatcher, Dillian Whyte. Once again, in the mix. And once again, he's part of that conversation.
Yeah, it was fully redemption on a weekend just gone. But, you know, we've got to send a massive shout out to those that tuned in and watch along. As Benji said, good support for the fight itself. So big up those that joined the chat. All right, we got to kind of delve into the man of the moment, you know, the man of the weekend. You got revenge, you got redemption. Benji, your assessment of Dillian Whyte rampant over the weekend.
Well, already in the chat, shout out to W. Riles, who says Whyte fought a vivid corpse. Let's have it right, fellas. Now, this is the problem, isn't it? Are we going to spend the next hour or two talking about Povetkin and how he was maybe old, maybe had the after effects, or, you know, was suffering from long COVID, wasn't the fighter he once was? Look, let's try not to focus on the negative side of Povetkin, and let's actually celebrate and big up Dillian Whyte, who got the job done in emphatic style, knocked the opponent out. You can only beat what's in front of you. And Dillian Whyte trained for the very best Povetkin. And going back to our predictions last week in the live chat, my prediction was based on the very best Povetkin showing up. And I think my prediction was something around 8 or 9 for Dillian to win by knockout. Obviously, he threw that script right out the window and got the job done inside 4. Lady Chann, I believe, got that pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
You owe her an Easter egg now, my friend.
She reminded me straight away.
So, the thing is, I don't want to focus too much on Povetkin, the Povetkin that showed up, because you know, this is boxing. There's so many variables. You never know who is going to show up on the night and in what condition and how, you know, sprightly or whatever they're going to be. Dillian Whyte with a lot of pressure. I mean, according to Manny Mohammed last week, his whole career was resting on this fight if he didn't get the job done. So that's a lot of pressure. He went in, he got the job done. No, it was a bulldozering, really. I don't think Povetkin around. He was all over the place. Hats off to Dillian Whyte. Hats off to Dillian Whyte. Shut me up. I should never have doubted him. That's my assessment of it.
Kenny, I know you was watching, man. We were conversating on the WhatsApps. How good was that Dillian Whyte performance over the weekend?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to add to what Benji said. A lot of people, and I want to reply to Raris. I respect what you said, Raris, but last week we had one of our, guys on the panel who says that in heavyweight boxing you don't get old. Like, yeah, you lose you still keep your power, and people talking about Povetkin having a high skill set. People were also predicting and using phrases that rematches always end the same way, especially against the same match. And they'll talk about immediate rematches. Well, immediate rematch doesn't always end like that. Lennox Lewis corrected that with Ratman. Yeah,
cool.
Joshua Ruiz. So, and if you want to go back, Carl Froch wronged that right with Kessler.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 50-50. The fact of the matter is that Povetkin was the next best thing. A lot of people, and I'll say about 30% of the boxing, how do I say it, the electorate, maybe the casual fans as well, thought that because Dillian Whyte got hit with a left uppercut, he was going to lose. And they thought he would get knocked out. And they doubted everything he'd done and said, oh, he's not high level. So they're now going, oh, Povetkin's old. No, Povetkin was in the right physical shape. They did his brain scans. He was fine. Physically, he was in the best shape possible. Yes, he may have looked old, but that's because of the fighter. But one thing I will say about the fight, the first round Dillian did things I didn't like. He was ragged. He was like, I'm going to get him out of there now and then. I didn't like his feet. His feet were all wrong. He was going out of balance because he's trying to get that right hand. And when you're off balance, you're gonna leave yourself open to a punch, and it's not going to be a lucky punch because at the end of the day, if you leave yourself open, a good boxer will hit you hard and spark you out, especially when they got a free target. So I didn't like Dillian's feet in the first round. One thing that Dillian always gets away with his bad feet is because when Dillian goes ragged, I see a kickboxer there because remember he's got a kickboxer stance. So when you're a kickboxer, you're used to being off balance, and a lot of fights that's kept him in check. The Shura fight, especially the last round in Manchester, off balance a lot, but because he's a kickboxer, he's used to being off balance. Parts of the Joshua fight in the O2 the year before, so I kind of expected that. But because of what happened last time, Povetkin was thinking, right, if there's going to be a swing, I'm in with a chance. If he misses, I'm going to hit. But from the second round, got his feet right. He boxed correctly. He got his feet not wide apart. He had in parts of the first round. He got his feet in terms of his feet. Like for instance, there were few inches apart, which is what you want as a boxer stance. Especially the front foot is your balance, and the front foot is stop you from falling, and that helps you. In terms of like your reflexes. And one thing about Dillian Whyte as well, he wasn't so much, he kept his hands up at the right time, but he used his reflexes when Povetkin was slugging the punches. And that's what I liked from the second round onward. And the third round, when he buzzed him with that right hand, he didn't so much go wang, wang, wang. He built his attacks. Clinical, built his attacks, bang, bang, bang. And there were times in the fourth round, he's buzzed him, but he built the attack. But then when he hit him a straight one, which Povetkin didn't see, and he went all over the ropes, that was the time to go in and finish him off. And then, as Dillian says, if he hits anyone with a left hook, they're out. And I thought, in the end, he got the job done, and that's what he was there for. There was no kind of hanging about. He rode the dice, risk and rewards, and he got caught with a very good punch because he made a mistake. But this time, there was no second chance for Povetkin. I just want to pay tribute to Povetkin as well, because, you know, he's had a great career, great amateur career as well. And I understand that is his last fight. So for me, congratulations on a great career. But with Dillian, we move.
All right, look. She's just entered the building.
Someone looks like they want an Easter egg.
Yeah, she's looking like, I told you so. I told you so. 4th round, baby. Chann, how you doing? How you feeling?
Okay. Sorry, guys. It was a toss-up between Amazon Fresh arriving with fresh groceries, whether to leave them in the bag and do this while they perish, or quickly just try and chuck them in the fridge and then come. Sorry.
That's good. Look, perfect timing. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Benji and Kenny, they've both broken down what they saw, and they've described, you know, how good the performance of Dillian Whyte was over the weekend. Now, you told me 4th round. What was your assessment of what you saw over the weekend?
Yeah, I just knew he wouldn't have the patience. So I just knew he wouldn't have the patience. I was hoping that, I knew he was going to attack, but like what I saw him say on certain interviews is that he was going to pressure, but pressure in a way that was a bit more tactful. Dillian Whyte and the word tactful in the same sentence, not really, not really. He's all guns blazing, mate. And when I saw that first round, I just thought that's what I just knew he wanted to get it over with, because Povetkin has got kind of gas tank problems. 5-6 rounds, that's what you'll get out of him, a good 5-6 rounds. In between round 1 and 6, he's mad dangerous. So I knew that Dillian, like I said, he doesn't want to try and box a boxer. He tried to do that before, and look what happened. So I just knew it's maximum violence, and yeah, get him out there. 4th round, get out.
Yeah, do you know what? Like, you know, we were talking like prior to the fight itself. We were saying, look, we want to see the old Dillian Whyte. We want to see the carnage. You know, we want to see the madman when he shaves his head off and he just goes mad on his opponents. Yeah. And that's exactly what we did, because we talked about the fight against Joseph Parker.
Right.
And he did not let Joseph Parker breathe for 1 second. Right. It was 110 miles per hour on his opponent. And that's the Dillian Whyte that I think a lot of people can kind of resonate with, you know. And for me, that's his most effective style. You know, let them have it. You know, the boxing thing, I don't, you know, he can box, but the carnage, that's Dillian Whyte, and that's the dangerous guy that we know.
Exactly. And I'm glad to see him back. I know everyone's probably gonna go boo down at their lucky or telly. And like I'm saying, I'm not taking away the win from Dillian, because I believe that Dillian could fight Povetkin another 10 times and he'll always beat him. He's just got his number. But the Povetkin that we saw, what I noticed from when he got to Gibraltar, he just didn't look well. Yeah. In my opinion, he looked very. I know he's older, but he looked really accelerated in age. Then at the weigh-in, he was all soft, and if you check, he was all soft and pudgy, and I was like, he just didn't look great. And then when I just thought, all right, and then when it got to, you know, the fight, I was like, this dude just. When I saw the first round, I was like, what's happened to him? Because I didn't like watching it. Everyone could see my reaction. I was like, what's up? Like, there's something not quite right. It will probably come out. I don't know if it is due to not getting over COVID to the full capacity. But look, I'm not saying that Dillian wouldn't have beat him anyway. Even if he was totally fresh and perfect, Dillian would have still beat the brakes off of him. But I'm just saying, as a side note, Povetkin just didn't look well.
And Kenny, you mentioned Dillian Whyte, you know, how he was kind of tucking up, you know, when Povetkin got close in the pocket. If you notice, there was no opportunity for the uppercut this time. You know, Dillian would put together his work and then circle out, you know, that whole coaching manual style, circle out after you've thrown your shots.
Yeah, and he did that from the second round onwards. That's when his feet were correct and they were close together. So when your feet are close together and you've got this when you've got your right foot in a sort of straw, you know, your right hand, it's your left foot, and it's basically like strong, you can always, that's when you can be able to do this and use your reflexes, you know what I mean? When your legs are strong. In the first round, when his legs are like kickboxer stance, you know, where he's losing his balance, he can't do this and that. So he looked ragged, he looked out of balance. But after the second round onwards, I was very happy with his feet. But in terms of, one thing we've got to remember about Dillian Whyte as well, he had a hamstring injury.
Right.
He had a hamstring injury.
Bad
So
one
when people talk about Povetkin as well, you've got to remember, you know, like I said, I've the only person I've seen fight well on one leg was a long time ago, Audley Harrison. In the Audley Harrison fight, I think in 2005, he was fighting Williams when Williams broke his ankle in 2005, and Williams managed to see the job through and actually put Audley on his ass. That's the only time I've seen someone really fight well. And then Dillian himself with a hamstring did very well. And I suppose because Dillian's got a hamstring injury, he had to get him out there as well. But in terms of like, you know, Dillian, what I saw with Dillian, the thing about it is that the positive thing about Dillian as well, I think there's still room for improvement. There is so much room for improvement. This guy is what I call a young boxer. He's 32, hasn't had the amateur career of Povetkin. It was an excellent amateur. So in terms of like boxing, remember he had 2 years at the ring because he failed because of problems with failing drug tests as well.
The Jack 3D, innit?
Jack 3D
pre-workout.
So 3D. Yeah. So he's learning on the job, and he's going to get better. I think what's happening now is that people doubted his level, but now we saw something as well. I think if you look at the best heavyweights out there right now, obviously you've got to put AJ and Fury, but I think he's third. I think he's just behind them because people are telling me that Wilder can't box. Now, if that's the case, that's fine. But he still, before Fury came on the scene, he was like, he had 40 fights before Fury, the first Fury fight, and then 39 KOs. So he's doing something right. But I put Dillian now above Wilder at number 3. And I think if Dillian continues to improve and get those fundamentals right, he's not too far off those two. Obviously, Tyson Fury is technically correct, and they say Anthony Joshua is technically correct as well. But if Dillian puts his mind to it, I don't think he should feel any sort of inferiority complex if he gets in the ring with those two. And one more thing before I go, because I'm yabbering on. Or what I said last week, and I've told you off camera a lot, in our little texts. Dillian, keep fit, keep your training, take 2 or 3 weeks off, and be ready. Because I can tell you now, you're going to be first reserve before the big heavyweight clash that may never happen. So be ready, mate. You're next in line.
All right.
Yeah, he said he's going to. He doesn't want to come back to the UK for a long period of time because of the lockdown restrictions, and he'll only end up getting fat. So he really wants to stay where he is. So because he's on it now, he's seen that the results of all the hard work that he's put in and the discipline, it's paid off. And I agree with you. I agree with Ken. I put him at number 3.
Well, he's got a 4-month-year-old baby that he needs to do a couple of the night shifts with. It ain't easy to keep training when you have to do the bottles at night.
Yeah, but this is what happens when you've got a baby for a professional. We don't know their status. We don't know if they're together or not. Like, just because someone's had a baby for you doesn't mean that you're in a relationship with them.
Is he like Anthony Joshua then? Is he like Anthony Joshua? Is he like Anthony Joshua, just a donor, but not with the mother?
we never know. Like, just because you got kids with someone, don't mean you're with them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean, but
so she might have to do a lot of the work, and this is what comes with being with a professional athlete. To be fair, and I know, and he's given her props and said she's done very well. So he probably come in for a flash visit, but yet again, he wants to go back to Portugal.
Yeah,
unless he's going to bring them with him.
Yeah, he's only got one chance. He's only got one chance, mate. Chances in boxing come and go, and I say it, they're like the speed of light. So I know it's awful that he's missing his kid, but he's got to be on it. Tunnel vision. There's loads of goodies out there for him if he puts his mind to it. And you know what? I should take over as his manager because there's a lot of things I won't let him do.
I was just thinking. Now I said that I put him 3rd because there's like no other person. Like, he's better than Wilder, and like, but if he gets Wilder on the wrong day, like anyone can get Wilder on the wrong day, and Wilder's can clock you, but Wilder's got no boxing fundamental. And I'm like, I've put him third because it's like, who else can you put? Because I like Dillian Whyte, but I don't class him as a elite boxer. I class him as in world, but if I'm going to put him in 3, that makes him elite. But
the thing about it is that it's anti-Joshua elite in your eyes.
Yeah, I put Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. They're elite.
Yeah,
maybe
a year ago,
all right, elite. Maybe he is.
All right, I hear you saying that, Lady Chann. But 18 months ago, or so, dare we say, all right, 20 months ago, when he lost against Ruiz,
he was still elite.
I still think. Elite. Yeah, I know, and I felt that as well. But in terms of boxing, one loss, all of a sudden, everyone's talking about, well, yeah, he wasn't really good with his jab, and he was a bit heavy-footed. And I think that's what happens in boxing. In terms of elite, yeah, because simple reasons that he's got some names on there. But
his resume, that's what makes you elite.
Dillian's got some good names as well.
How you rank? How you rank boxers? For it, everyone's got their own criteria. For me personally, it's down to resume. That's the only way you can do it. Now, I agree that I would have Whyte above Wilder because simply off resume, who they've both. Yeah. You look at both boxers' resume, who they've been in with, who they've beaten. Whyte is better. Now, someone in the comments here has just said, Matthew D'Souza, thanks for tuning in. Big shout out to you. Thanks for the comment. Who says Whyte is the same level as Chisora? He can't be. He's beaten him twice. You can't say he's the same level as Chisora. He's beaten him twice.
British
and he's also said Whyte is British and European. You can't say that. He's just beaten Povetkin for the WBC World Interim title. So he's definitely not
He's
British.
never held a world title though, Ben.
But you don't have to be world. But so anyone who's not held the world title is automatically not world level.
No, it doesn't mean you're not world level, but you're not. Maybe you're not elite. Maybe you're not elite.
Where do you draw? How do you line? How do you draw that distinction? Where does that come from?
Yeah. Everyone's got their own.
Because if we're doing it off resumes, right? I'm going to be.
His resume's good. His resume's great.
I'll be a bit controversial here. If we're doing it off resumes, I wouldn't have Tyson Fury's elite. I wouldn't have Tyson Fury's elite. He wouldn't. If you're doing it off resume, he wouldn't. So the thing is, if you guys want to label, if you guys want to have categories as elite, world class, blah blah blah, that's fine. I'm not going to quarrel with you about that. For myself though, I don't. I never really think of boxers in that terms.
So do you put him as elite then? Is Dillian Whyte elite for you?
No, I don't know because I just have like number 1, number 2 who are at the moment. I think number 1, number 2 in the heavyweight division is pretty easy.
You don't do elite, world, European, British, domestic. Like you don't.
Well, British and domestic's quite easy because we've got area titles, we've got British titles, we've got European titles. Yeah. So, so that's how I make that distinction. There's not an elite, there's not a title.
No, there's not an elite belt.
No, well, I mean, so if you're saying, well, this helps me. To be honest, this helps me because what I'm drawing it on now is that the distinction of an elite fighter is a fighter that holds world title belts, world title, WBC, WBA. Those are the elite belts. So if you hold those belts, then you're elite. That's how I would. Yeah. If that's how you're defining it, then that's how I would understand it. But so I mean, for me, it's quite easy. The top 2 heavyweights at the moment, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, because they hold titles. That just sort of. How it works for me, and then we can debate all day long about 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. I mean, I would put Whyte at 3. I would kind of agree with you right now because just based on resume, who they've been in with, what they've done with their careers. Whenever I look at Deontay Wilder's resume, all I see is the wins over Ortiz, a draw with Tyson Fury,
and
he got knocked. Stop, and that's it. There's nothing else on his resume that really.
His resume is dead.
But that's just me. But it's I mean, this is the thing about heavyweight. Well, particularly the heavyweight division, you can spark these debates, and they're so much fun to have. And people have their own criteria.
But now they are because I think in that sort of discussion when we're talking about elite fighters, we now got a situation finally that we've been crying out for, and I think you've got to thank Dana White and UFC because UFC, especially in the heavyweight division, has made boxing up their game because there's no dare I say it? Sorry, Lady Chann.
It's one belt or something.
I don't embarrass you, but there's a lot of arse protect. There was a lot of arse protection going on before Dana White came along because in UFC there's no arse protection. Conor McGregor may be the biggest thing since sliced bread, but he's still been bodied in that ring. He puts his titles on the line. Before we had Ronda Rousey, she was the next big thing. Holly Holmes kicks the crap out of her, and then Nunez kicks the crap out of her. So basically, what's we're having in boxing, and we're especially around the heavyweight division, is that there's a lot of 50-50 fights out there. And the reason why Dillian Whyte is part of that conversation where, we're talking about elite, but you can put him as near elite is because these 50-50 fights, he hasn't done a bunk on them. He's fighting people who've come to kick the shit out of him, and he's beaten them. Parker Kane had a world title fight with Joshua where he held the belt, lost the belt, where Joshua gained his WBO belt. His next fight was against Dillian Whyte, where it was meant to be a chance for Dillian Whyte to make a statement, a chance for Joshua Parker to show he's still at world level, and Dillian Whyte battered him. Because he battered him. Even though Dillian Whyte ran out of gas, he battered him. So that's another statement fight. Mm-hmm. You could say last week with Povetkin after what happened, that's a statement fight, 50-50 fight. And there's loads of potential 50-50 fights that they're trying to propose to Dillian Whyte, where Andrew Ruiz Jr. is an ex-world champion. So that's another fight.
Is he better than Dill?
Yeah, but I think the problem is that in terms of Dillian Whyte, does he want to be the world champion or people's champion? Because I look at people on Sky, people like Anna Warhouse. Oh, that's why we like Dillian, because he puts himself on the line. I'm thinking, hang on here, the people's champion. Is it going to go in your, your lounge, your nice, a big house in Richmond where he's probably going to move to after he leaves Brixton? That's not good at that. The people's champion, that's not going to get anywhere. Tyson Fury calls himself the people's champion. He's not the people's champion. He's a world heavyweight champion of the world. You can't, once you're at that level, you can't be the man of the people. That's Dillian Whyte's title now. But I know Dillian is better than that. And that's why, and that's why there seems to be in boxing, they want this little title for Dillian where he has to be satisfied as being the people's champion. I take everyone on, I can beat everyone up. Like, what's this? Prize fighter? Or bare knuckle fighting?
See, that title doesn't make sense to me because when I think people's champion, I think Marco Antonio Barrera. And the reason why he was because he wouldn't pay the sanctioning fees on belts. He'd win them and then didn't want to pay the sanctioning fees to defend them. So he was always giving belts up out the ring because he didn't want to play that ball, play that game. So he adopted that as people's champion because he was basically defined by the people as the man, not by the alphabet titles. So I don't think anyone in the heavyweight division or any division can sort of claim to be a people's champ unless they're
but what I'm trying to say is, in terms of matchroom, they've got they basically in terms of like people.
Wait, you've gone a bit funny. No, it's gone a bit robotic. You back?
Me?
Yeah,
I think you're back with us.
Kenny, you sound like Robocop.
Oh, sorry. let me just.
You're back now, Ken. You're back now.
Robocop.
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Oh,
refresh.
Okay, maybe
refresh the 56 dial up.
No. Is it all back? Is it all back?
Yeah, you're back in. Yeah.
You're back, Ken. You're back.
All right.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to say is that if you look at Matchroom, they got Anthony Joshua, who puts food in sight, when they got Dillian Whyte as their people's champion, who will fight anyone else. And I think that what I don't want Dillian to get in that situation where there's a niche for him, where there's two pay-per-view main men at Sky. One who's a champion and fights for the belts. The other one who just gets numbers and gets people out to seats for 50-50 fights.
Chisora.
Yeah,
we'll talk about
that. That's a trigger word for Ken. So
I couldn't resist. Sorry. I
thought to myself, don't mention Chisora.
Sorry, Ken.
You know. That's when I wanted to sort of sound like RoboCop when you mentioned Chisora.
Chisora, you're coming with me.
All right, guys, smash that like button. We've got Lady Chann Benji's Boxing and Kenny Ken in the building. All right, let's engage some of the viewers. All right, let's read out some of the comments.
But I see what Kenny's saying. I agree as well.
Right, straight from the top, James Burrell. People will say Dillian has earned a soft touch, and they're correct. But I say Dillian has earned the right to become as much of a star as Joshua and Fury while he waits. Okay, Benji, is that something that you agree with?
I think there's an...
Sorry.
No, Chan, please jump in. What do you want to say?
I just thought he ain't had a soft touch at all. That's all I wanted to say. You take the rest, Ben. You get it.
Well, I think you got a good point actually, Chan. Because if you look at Anthony Joshua, he came out of the Olympics as the bright star of the future, and Eddie Hearn nurtured him and brought him through nice and easy. And we're going to see, you know, we've seen Eddie Hearn do the same thing with Conor Benn. You're going to see the exact same
Campbell Hatton.
with Campbell Hatton. Absolutely. We can disagree about that just later on, because I think we're going to have a massive disagreement about that, Chad.
Please,
no worries.
Yeah,
but this is the thing. Dillian Whyte didn't come out of an Olympic Games as this sort of shining light of the nation with a gold medal, you know. So he didn't have the Matchroom sort of PR train going along. So he's had to really fight to show his legitimacy, and I think he absolutely has. So I think he deserves any accolades he gets. What was the second part of that, Beez, that comment?
He should be as much of a star as while he's waiting. He should be much of a star as Fury and AJ.
Well, and I think he can be, but I hope we don't see him waiting around for too long. I you know, because obviously there's a massive unification fight that we all hope is going to happen. That's going to tie up the division for potentially a long period of time. So in the meantime, there is a whole pool of other boxers. Wilder, Usyk, Joyce is out there.
Well, I saw what
Parker, maybe
Andy Ruiz.
You know what? I was watching big up Sporting Icons, just to big them up as well. Yeah, I saw he brought up a good point. The best way is White to go for the WBA belt, who Bryant's got that belt.
Trevor Bryan, the regular title.
The regular title. So why don't you go over there? That would be a good strategic move. He could batter him.
Well, just stay busy. What I'm saying is stay busy. There's good opposition about. You don't have to just be smashing up journeyman or anything like that.
No, but he's got a belt.
But this is it. There's other things that Dillian Whyte can do. He doesn't just have to sit and wait to see if this unification thing comes off or not, and then the rematches on top of that and all that. You know, there's plenty that Dillian Whyte can stay busy with, and there's other little golds and things that he can, you know, belts that he can pick up, and that's why I hope he does.
Yeah.
All right, we got to big up the signature for the super chat. All supporting the channel. Big up the signature. All right, this is directed at you, Ken. Ken, Dillian has made the wrong choices, rejecting AJ fight, even though not joining BT when he could have, as he would have got the Wilder fight earlier.
In terms of the AJ fight, you know, that was obviously monetary, but I still think that a lot of that had to do with preparation. And I don't think I'm yet to be convinced that it was a bona fide offer. I don't think it was a bona fide offer. I think AJ was looking for passing you, and it was like, oh yeah, I'll just settle for Dillian Whyte. And I think that's probably why he turned it down. In terms of going out to BT, I don't know, man. You know, Matchroom have got a very, very secure contract with Sky, so there's no way that he'll go with BT. So I think in terms of his choices, he's with the right, you know, like promotion, and he's with the right TV station in terms of, you know, like the pay-per-view, you know, niche that he's found himself. Not the niche that I think I would like for Dillian, but it's a niche because, you know, they know Dillian wants pay-per-view and wants pay-per-view money, and the public want 50-50 fights against the best. So that's where he is with the right people. If he's there to make a living. And, you know, in terms of WEC, you know, like route, he's near the top, if not at the top of the.
That's what you're working on. Yeah, yeah.
So really, truly, he's not going to just give that up, especially when he's worked his nuts off to get there. In that respect, so I think he hasn't made the right choices. I think there's certain wrong choices he's going to be making, but I can understand that because he's going to have to wait for a title.
Yeah, but even if he went over to Frank Warren and he was at Frank Warren, Wilder wouldn't have fought him anyway.
No, because Wilder's been right the end, isn't it?
Duck him would have made. You could have been coming through via the Queen. You could have went to the White House and met Wilder and said, "Yo, let's do the fight." With the president standing there, Wilder would have still done a U-turn and ran off. What do you mean?
You see, that's the thing. Well, I agree with you because Wilder's words after Wilder beat Ortiz the first time, they want to send me. They want me to come to England to fight a peasant without the king on a contract. That peasant was Dillian Whyte. So it's one of those things where it was never going to happen. But hindsight's a beautiful thing in boxing. But I still think his career is with the right people. There was talk about Dillian Whyte wanting to fight in America. There's a couple of opponents I could think for him if he goes to America, including Brian.
The Bryant fight.
Yeah,
I think he wants to do a fight in the summer. It would be nice to go to America. But I saw Dill say that he would like to do another fight in Gibraltar because they've been so accommodating. Yeah. Which I think that is a good move. But at the end of the day, Ken, not always being the people champ, cool with Gibraltar and all that. But let me just go over to America quickly, grab this belt off Brian, and I'll come back.
I think there's another fight out there that probably is going to sell more than the Brian fight. They're talking about a Polish New Yorker.
Kanaki. Yeah, the one who he beat Hellenius before Dillian Whyte.
He beat. Dillian Whyte beat Hellenius.
Years ago.
Hellenius has beat Kanaki in the last fight. Kanaki lost to Hellenius, but Kanaki's got he's beat Charles Martin. He's beat Ariola as well.
That pyramid, I
know it's a pyramid. But what will happen? It will sell that fight because if he does want to fight in New York, in terms of getting fans, because in terms of New York, there's a big Polish community out there. I think that fight will sell more, and maybe it basically they can con the public because Kanaki's got like I said, Kanaki's only got one loss. So they can, this is a 50-50 fight. We know it's not a 50-50 fight. It's all in Dillian's favour. But
what would he get out of beating Kanaki?
Nothing. But I think
no, then, so just that. Why are we doing that then?
It's a business thing for Eddie Hearn, though.
I think he's
selling to America.
Yeah, but Brian's got a belt. And Brian's rubbish.
Yeah, I know, but
isn't Brian? He's promoted by Don King,
though, isn't it?
By Don King.
Don King is easy to deal with.
Why are we going to fight Kanaki and we can just quickly get another belt, add the belt to his already growing Arsenal?
It's all about numbers and it's all about ticket sales. And I think that Kanaki will sell tickets more.
You're right. It would be a better sell. It would be a better sale. Like, I don't think that loads of people. Well, do you know what? Loads of people depends. Loads of Brits. That Brian could PPV call whatever. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to just say to a little bit less to gain a little bit more.
Oh yeah, definitely. But
we all know Kenny's worst nightmare. What if it is announced that Dillian's next fight is the winner of Chisora Parker, and then Chisora wins?
The thing about the whole situation with Derek Chisora and Derek Chisora is that we all know that Derek Chisora and David Haye are on a mission, and it's not good for boxing, man. They're on a mission to fleece the British public, and they've got a supporting actor and a partner in crime in Eddie Hearn, who will go along with this because if Eddie Hearn can get 300,000 people like me to buy it on pay-per-view, it makes money. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that is always a deal. Chisora, all he has to do, and I say to everything, all he has to do is go to one of these shows, go on, IFL TV or go on your channel, talk, go on like he's the big hard man who scares everyone and makes a bit of an idiot of himself, or probably instigated a beef that's not there. All of a sudden, better go and get Chisora on and better start a fight. He's just him and David Haye, best salesman in boxing. best salesman at boxing.
But look, in all seriousness, though, because obviously the conversation is Dillian Whyte and where he goes next. Honestly, half of me is the eternal optimist, but I have got a bit of a dark side that has been burnt by boxing so many times, and I have to say that side of me does say, you know what, White fighting the winner of Parker Chisora could happen. I just for the sake of another matchroom pay-per-view. Well, but this, no, Chan, don't get me wrong. I don't want this. Yeah. But how much shit have us, the boxing public, been fed over the years?
Benji, you've seen nothing yet. You've seen nothing yet, and I'll tell you why you've seen nothing yet. I have still not heard anything from Bob Arum or Frank Warren or Tyson Fury about his fights being signed. Tyson Fury has blatantly said he wants 2 warm-up fights because when he came out of from his problems, he had 2 warm-up fights before he fought the first Wilder fight. The second Wilder fight, he had 2 fights. And then we're now being convinced. You're trying to convince me that Tyson Fury fought brilliantly, by the way, to get his WBC belt, and basically he hasn't fought since that
February last year.
And people are trying to convince me that the next fight Tyson Fury has, without like I said, the
warm up and
official training camp, is going to be Joshua for the world title. Winner takes all in August or November. I'm not buying it.
That's why they got his dad doing the little tours around going, we don't know what's going on with the fight. Like, everybody drops little seeds to say that basically Fury's not ready. Joshua's been ready.
And the thing is, if I have learned anything from boxing over the years of watching this sport, one thing I know is the most disappointing and nonsensical situation, outcome that could possibly happen is usually the one that does happen. And that's why I'm saying that Dillian's next fight could be a kind of disappointing and nonsensical affair. It wouldn't surprise me because this is just the way boxing is.
Don't rule out Joshua. We haven't heard anything from Fury.
Is it just me or is Benji gone funny?
Oh, sorry.
Or is it just me?
Is it me gone funny?
Is it just me or is Benji gone funny?
You're good.
Am I good?
Am I okay, Beez?
I don't know if it's me.
You've just gone, actually, Chan, you've just gone a little bit pixely. I think it might be your internet connection's a little bit.
No, it must be me.
What's the Wi-Fi like in the Isle of Dogs?
Hang on, she supports
Chelsea. I don't know,
I'm joking.
I just got a message saying that the internet was unstable, so it might be.
She's lives in the East End. You live in the East End. You support Chelsea. Bad.
Listen, I'm from Chelsea first. I'm from Chelsea first.
Oh, I'll let you
then
off.
I moved to the East End. And then I moved to Northwest.
You're allowed to move house. You're allowed to move house.
Yeah. So I grew up. I went to primary school in Chelsea.
Okay.
I went to Chelsea Boys Centre Club. I was the only girl that was allowed. I met Chelsea footballers. I've been to Chelsea football matches.
All right, now it makes sense.
Okay.
I feel like Chan's gonna wear a Chelsea top next time.
Don't.
Yeah, I've got when we won the double. I've got the scarf when we won the double.
We've won the double a few times as well at Arsenal.
You lot's got loads of dust on your cabinet. Let's not go with talking about Arsenal.
Let's just like stick.
Kenny, I want you to still like me. We won't talk about football because you're lazy.
Let's not talk about football. But you know, all I'm going to say one thing. Remember that thing I just sent you in the WhatsApp about fights that didn't happen? Big fights that never happened?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is potentially not going to happen. Brace yourselves, right?
What, the Fury, AJ?
Brace yourselves. Remember the Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe didn't happen professionally. He happened in the amateurs in the Olympic final in Seoul in '88, but he didn't happen professionally. Just remember,
Bro put the belt in the bin. We all remember that.
Yes, I can't see Fury putting the belt in the bin. And I mean,
he just vacated.
Well, that's true, but I again, like the eternal optimist side of Benji is now speaking and is saying, look, I think both boxers want it, and it's worth so much money, and that's what I'm clinging onto, that maybe it will happen. But then dark side, negative, burnt too many times, Benji is saying Kenny's got a hell of a good point. You know, you're desperate for this. I'd love to see this heavyweight clash. I think it would be absolutely fantastic. I don't really give a shit who wins. We all win. If it happens, as Beez always says, we all win.
Okay for me, mate.
Well, and that's great. You know, either way, I just want the fight to happen.
Yeah, I just want the fight to happen.
But the thing is, when you hear things have been signed and it's going to happen, you always have to pinch yourself and say, is it too good to be true? Unfortunately, in this world, when it's too good to be true, usually it is.
Yeah. Do you think Eddie Hearn's going to just embarrass himself like this fully, and AJ fully, and it can't be the next fight? That would be so, because then the belts become all fragmented, because then Joshua's going to have to feel his mandatory. So that means it ain't going to be Usyk and Joyce. It's going to be Usyk and AJ, and everything goes. Do you know what I mean? I don't know then.
Yeah. I think the thing about it, right, is that the thing about it is that at the end of the day, everything in boxing is about salesmanship, and and promotion is salesmanship. Now they've got the public gripped, and it's if you speak to anyone, right, on your channel or the other channels, the first thing they will ask they'll ask any of their guests is, they'll talk about the fight, and on the end of the sentence, oh yeah, what do you think's going to happen with AJ Fury? What do you think's going to happen with AJ Fury? That's what I saw all week, but I still haven't heard anything from Frank Warren or Bob Arum or Tyson Fury. I've heard a lot about Tyson Fury's dad, and that wasn't very positive as well. The one I showed you as well. Yeah.
He's fighting twice, regardless of whether it's AJ. That's what he said.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but the British public have to exercise a bit of patience, because this may happen in 2023.
Yeah, but this is Tyson Fury's fault, mate. I think I've said this before. At the end of the day, you were supposed to fight in December. When you palmed off Deontay Wilder and said, yeah, this is game over, I'm moving on, you did this whole thing where who are we going to get? All the public got involved. Kabayel. We threw in member pro. Takam. We threw in everyone. Then it looked like it was going to be Takam. Then it looked like it was going to be Kabayel. Then it went quiet. Then nobody said nothing. We didn't see Tyson Fury come on like he does with all other stuff, or his dad's hear ye, the town crier. We didn't hear his dad come around and say anything. Everybody just kept stum. Everybody said nothing. So that's your own fault. Why you're inactive, because you should have fought in December.
Okay.
Your promo team, your promotions team, company, Frank, fights.
All right, Chan, while you're in mid-flow,
this is for you. I want to see this.
You've got a point. All right. Musi Mayo, that's rude to say Wilder has no fundamentals when he's got a bronze medal. Have some respect, lady.
Yeah. Go look up the true story of like the Olympics that he took part in. That was the worst quality of fighter. So the bar was set very low. Hence why when he came and he did his, I can't remember what fight he was at ringside, and Teddy Atlas ripped him, mate, and gave him the reels. Bruv, you ain't that good. And he's proven he ain't that good. People, we've seen, not being bad, Luke Campbell is an Olympian. Canelo's not. Canelo's smashed into pieces. Like, at the end of the day, we saw the other day on the card with that geezer, the geezer that was Olympian, and he got beat up by the underdog. Listen, it is of stock when you are an Olympian, but it's what you do with that. It's how you move on with it. You can have it, but if you drop all boxing fundamentals, but you're still an Olympian and you're just a one-trick pony, you're a one-trick pony that has a bronze medal. The end. What?
Right. You know, are we gonna get a bomb squad from you?
Never. in life.
You know, Lady Chann. I thought you were talking about Audie Harrison.
He's another one as well. He's another one as well. It just depends what you do with the gold medal, like, or with any medal, silver. It's what you do afterwards, and that's why they say after being an Olympian, you've got 4 years to kind of establish yourself, because then you get the new Olympians that come through, and then you're just forgotten if you ain't established yourself within that, like the Olympics that you was in, and the next 4 years when the next Olympics in. It doesn't matter that Wilder's I can name a few Olympians that ain't done nothing.
Well, you know,
can you name? Who can name?
No prisoners.
From 2008 Olympics, could anyone name the heavyweights that won gold and silver?
All right. Well, Joshua.
No. From 2008, Wilder got bronze. Who got silver? Who got gold?
No, not really.
No one will tell you. No one can tell you who got gold and silver in the 2008 Olympics at heavyweight.
And I lived right next door to it, Taras.
Sorry?
And I lived right next door to it.
Well, but what I'm saying is, gold and silver didn't go on. Gold and silver didn't go on to do anything in the heavyweight division. I've got the names here. It was I can't even pronounce the Russian who won gold, Rakim Chechkiev, and the Italian Clemente Russo. And I think is that the same Clemente Russo that Joshua boxed in 2012? Possibly.
I think it is him. It is him.
No, so he never even went pro.
Yeah.
Russo the Italian never even went pro, and I don't know what the Russian went on to do, if anything. So when Chann says the caliber of Olympians that year, it wasn't that high. It wasn't particularly spectacular high. And to be fair, Deontay Wilder doing what he's done off a bronze medal, in a way, he may have overachieved in some respects.
He did. He overachieved. Yeah. And now the achievement, now the trick's over. You got your one trick, and then the pony's dead now.
Yeah, but that right hand is a decimator. But the
right hand's still there. But what I'm saying is, like, the guy that was saying that I'm being rude, like, I'm just telling the truth, mate. And
this is funny though.
Backed it up.
Yeah, this is funny from Shaz. Would love to see Lady Chann and Wilder on a Zoom call.
He wouldn't even take one with me. He wouldn't take one. The internet would go funny.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing, guys. Right, there was an Olympic champion who we would love to see go professional. It's probably a bit before your time. Tofio Stevenson. Like I said, the great Cuban. Like I said, the same era as Muhammad Ali, but they wouldn't let him go professional because of him. Communist Cuba. So it's some people make it out of the Olympics and others don't.
Yeah, 2 points. I've just seen BG say, "Give me a till this day, Lady Chann." All right, till this day. I use it quite a lot. Yeah, to radio. Yeah, I say it quite a lot when I'm anyway in jest and in conversations when I'm emphasising.
Some boxers have got it. You got Dillian Whyte to this day. And you got Derek Chisora. He goes, "I'm not having it. I'm going to get a gun. I'm going to shoot David Haye. He tried to glass me. I'm not having it. I'm going to get a gun. I'm going to shoot David Haye. I'm not having it.
That was wild.
Glass me.
That was crazy. It was. And also Sporting Icon said, which was right, that Deontay Wilder won bronze as a heavyweight, not a super heavyweight. So basically, he won at cruiser. The right weight that he kind of really is now, to be fair. But,
All right. Big up Sporting Icons. All right, so look.
Are we going on to Campbell Hatton?
All right,
Is this a Campbell Hatton, isn't it?
All right. We'll slightly digress. From Dillian Whyte. We'll go through a couple of other fights. All right, so Campbell Hatton, your thoughts on his debut? Chann, go ahead.
That wasn't good enough. It was very bad. I don't know if you're going to be a legend like your dad. To this day, He gassed out in 2 rounds. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. And if he didn't have that surname, he wouldn't have been even put on that card at that time of the card.
He's on the next card. He's on the next card. He's on the first card.
What they should have did is put Yusuf Kamari at the time where he fought and put Campbell Hatton at the beginning. That's what they should have did, because at the end of the day, I don't care about your surname, fam. You rushed becoming a pro because you thought it was going to be lucrative and easy just to navigate your way through. But unfortunately, the boxing fraternity are ruthless. We're ruthless, and we're going to tell the truth. And it was very poor.
Hey, how was it again? How was it again? What was it? Was it instead of it being like that and like that, it was like
he couldn't throw straight right. It was awful. And that geezer Jesus, you got to give him credit. You couldn't even floor him. He's had a losing streak of 10. Since turning pro, he's never won. So he's lost 11 times. He's been stopped only once on his debut as a pro and never been stopped. So you gave him a guy because you saw that he'd lost all these times, but you didn't realize that the guy's engine is amazing. And it was only 4 rounds. And it was, mate, what are you doing on the next card? You're going to have to go back and your trainer, doesn't matter that it's your uncle. Who has your uncle ever trained that's at world class? Like, because it's got the Hatton name. I'm sick of all this shit. I don't give a shit. Campbell Hatton, get to the back of the queue, mate.
All right. Benji, your opinion on the debut?
To be honest, what's wrong with Kenny, man? What's tickled you, Ken?
You know what's tickled me is that you're about to say something, but you know what tickled me, right?
Kenny,
we can't hear you.
No.
Now we can.
There you are.
You know what? It's people are trying to phone me, and I've had to put the phone down. You don't realise that.
Cool.
So you know when you know what's happening. So they can keep trying to ring me. But as I said before, the reason why I was laughing, right, is like that sort of thing, right, where you're rushing home, and you can't wait to see someone fight, or you're rushing home and someone set you up on a date, blind date, of course, and you can't wait to meet her. You're in your best clothes. You go there and you went, "Oh, she's got a nice personality." That was his boxing. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I mean, Benji, you take it away because I can't. It's traumatic.
I actually agree with Lady Chann more than I thought I was going to. Now, I want to start with where I agree with her. I agree that his debut should not have been on that card. And it being on that card, it should not have been there on that bill where it was. It should have either been the very first televised bout or it shouldn't have been televised at all. This is a case of his name actually being a hindrance because most professional boxers will not do their debut on such a high-level, high-profile event as that. And rightly so. A young kid should not be making their debut on a pay-per-view card in front of so many people because it's just adding more and more pressure to what is already a high-pressure thing. To his actual performance in the ring, gassed out within 4 rounds. Yeah, when that final bell went, he looked very, very tired. Now, the amount of pressure on him and the nervous energy, of course, that ain't going to help. But what I would say is if you know you're going to box 4 rounds, you should not box at the pace of a 6, 8 or 12 round fight. You should box at a 4 round fight. So you should be absolutely bollocksed at the end of 4 rounds. If you're not tired at the end of 4 rounds, you didn't have a high enough work rate. So I haven't got as big a problem with him being knackered after 4 rounds. He was desperate to knock this guy out and he wasted himself inside of 4 rounds. His engine will get better as it moves along. The opponent, journeymen are very, very tough. I've got 2 or 3 friends, one friend in particular who was in John Pegg's stable. who turned pro, boxed 2 or 3 journeymen. He didn't get a knockout within his first 3 contests. And people were saying, we expected you to knock that guy out because my friend has decent background, good amateur, sparred Sam Eggington a hell of a lot. And basically he said to us, he said, look, getting these journeymen out the ring is not as easy as you think it is, because they're there to do a job. They're there to stretch you. They're there to, you know, make it entertaining and make you work. But at the same time, they don't want to be knocked out, because some of these journeymen box every week. If they get knocked out, certain rules and regulations, you can't box again for another 3 or 4 weeks. They don't want to be knocked out. So again, I don't really have much of a problem that you didn't stop this guy inside 4 rounds. And bottom line is, this is Campbell Hatton's first fight. They are going to take it so slowly with this kid because of his name, because he could potentially be a very lucrative draw down the line. You are not going to see him in a highly competitive contest for a long, long time.
Well, let's not see him in all pay-per-view undercards for a minute then.
Sorry,
that's not really taking it slow. Taking it slow means
I agree.
We don't need to see you no more PPV undercards right now.
Yeah, and you know, and this is where we agree, Chan. This is where we completely. This is a novice professional boxer who's like barely 20 years old. He shouldn't be on pay-per-view cards. There's no reason for it. If you want to bring him along at pace, a sensible pace, and develop it. I mean, Eddie Hearn said at the end, you're going to be boxing 8 or 9 times a year for a few years in different countries. Great, Eddie. That's fantastic. So why have you started this here? This was just about.
Thank you.
That was it. So I agree. How we actually see the performance, I think we disagree with slightly, which is fine. But there's actually a lot I do agree with you on. I don't think a 20-year-old kid, whether his name's Hatton or Ben or Eubank or whatever, should be on that pay-per-view card. Because I said to Pro Beez, I sent Pro Beez a message straight when that happened. People on Twitter were already panning him. If he had a small hall debut that hardly anyone had seen, he wouldn't be getting panned on Twitter and having all this other things to do.
And then you had the cheek that you've got Yusuf Kamari that's doing really good stuff. Like what, 12? Was he like 12-0? And you put him on like the first like bit. You should have gave him a bit more credit where credit was due, because he actually pulled off an amazing performance. But because your name is Hatton, you bypassed all of that, and we had to see you kind of like, unfortunately, not fail, but fail.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, as I said, like I said to, again, Pro Beez, I said to you, maybe on the live chat thing, it was only 2 years ago. I was at the championships, the amateur championships, supporting my boxing club where I coach. Campbell Hatton was there. I watched him box as an amateur, and his dad and his uncle were obviously there cheering, supporting him on. And it's just bizarre to me to have seen this kid box live as an amateur in the amateur championships alongside kids from my own club. And now all of a sudden we see this guy on a pay-per-view. And I think, well, how would the kids at our club react to that pressure? How would our kids that we coach, how would they deal with that? And it is a hell of a lot. I wouldn't want to put them in that situation.
Are we being a bit hasty though? Are we being a bit hasty? Obviously, look, there was massive pressure on his debut, you know, bearing the legendary name of his dad. But we've seen with Conor Ben, you know, he got a lot of criticism in the beginning, and he's flying right now. He's flying now.
Who knows? Who knows how Campbell Hatton's going to do in the future? He's had 1 4-round contest. In 5, 10, 15 years, he could go on to win world titles. We just don't know how he's going to develop. I mean, I said to you, Beez, I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie Hearn is lying in his bed with his hand on his cock at night, fantasizing about the prospect of Hatton versus Ben. Yeah. Just that. I mean, forget the fact that they're years apart in terms of their careers. In 5, 10 years' time, if Eddie Hearn can get those 2 names on a pay-per-view card, who the hell is not going to watch that? Do you know what I mean? How much money are those 2 names worth? So that's all Eddie Hearn's thinking about, really. It's a money thing. But what's
he on next? What's the next card he's on?
Who?
Ben? Yeah.
Against Vargas.
Vargas.
Yeah.
Is that next week?
Samuel Vargas. April the 10th.
And he's going to be on the Cesaro card as well.
April the 10th. All right. So we got to talk about the, McKinson versus Chris Congo. Commiserations to Chris Congo, my guy. But McKinsey came out the victor.
Yeah, that was another bad one. He was talking about he spars Josh Taylor, certified great southpaw fighter, but you just couldn't get your head around this geezer. Like, the geezer just outboxed him. Easy. I was like, I got to about round 3. I went, he's lost. I text my mate, he's lost. And he did.
Wow. Benji, what did you think of McKinson? I thought, do you know what? He's a good fighter. That kid can box, no doubt about it.
Well, I mean, people can go back to the video on this very channel and they can watch us literally commentate as the fight happened. McKinson took me by surprise because I haven't really seen him box before. I thought he implemented a game plan very, very well. As we said on commentary during the contest, the way he was whipping around that backhand, the left hook, Congo was just letting his right drop down. He left his chin for that left hook. And God, McKinson didn't half make him pay for it. And then by the time McKinson started looking tired, what I think happened, we said on commentary, oh, McKinson's looking tired, maybe Congo's going to come into it now. But the thing is, McKinson was like looking at, well, I think he got second wind of adrenaline because he was like, I can win this. And we looked over at Congo in the corner coming out of the later rounds. I said he looked dejected. He looked like the fight had slipped away from him and he didn't have anything to come back. So we all thought Congo was going to win. Hopefully he comes back from this. But as Chan said, he literally did get outboxed.
He did. I was checking where his feet placement was. The thing is, Congo, he managed to keep his foot on the outside. So that should have gave him some bloody advantage, with that foot placement and being able to land like certain punches against the southpaw. And it just made no difference what he did. No difference. So you got a fair play. Big up to what was his opponent's name?
Michael McKinson.
McKinson.
I rate Congo, and this is probably the first time I really watched McKinson, in any great depth. And what I say is the kid's got a future because he knows how to pick his shots correctly and he can judge distance really well. So when you get close, he knows to take a step back, or he knows how to feint and he knows how to get out of range. The kid's a good fighter. He can box.
Very good fighter. Yeah, very good fighter.
Kenny, do you want to? I know you got to go real soon, man. Do you want to conclude on that before we shoot out?
Yeah, I think in terms of that fight, I think it was the first 3 rounds where McKinson basically changed gears and went straight at him, and he kind of mesmerised him with he beat him to Congo's trying to fight from the jab. He's basically got in between through the right hand and came out again. And I think, for the first three rounds, Congo couldn't deal with it. And then there was some very close rounds. Yeah. And then towards the end, it was like the first 3 rounds won McKinson the fight. And I think that's where I think that if they fought again, it'll be a different fight in terms of they'll be more technically correct because they made a lot of mistakes in terms of that fight. But for me, clear winner was McKinson. Clear winner. Yeah,
like Jack said, that's why he's called The Problem. It's true. That's his boxing name.
I hope he has the career of a Broner.
Hey, we've also got to kind of, as well, we've got to talk about Nick Webb. He absolutely demolished Eric Pfeiffer. What did you guys make of that?
I didn't see it.
No, it was 2 right hands. It's an overhand right hand, plus, which did the damage, and it kept on catching him. The other end right, and I think that's where Pfeiffer just never recovered because it was one of those fights where he's come over and he's caught him, and it wasn't.
Oh, is that the one that we're talking about? The heavy.
Nick Webb's caught him on. He's caught him around the ear, and he's caught him on the top of the head, but he's caught him near the temple. And once that scrambles your brain, there's nowhere to go. And I think that's what happens. Yeah. I like any sort of boxing, but heavyweight is a different kettle of fish. And I think Pfeiffer, even though he had the Olympic experience we're talking about, he ain't
done nothing with it, has he?
Yeah. So that's the thing.
All right. Okay. All right. I suppose we better delve back into the Dillian Whyte situation. All right. So look, the name on everybody's lips is Wilder. You know, that's the fight that the fans want. You know, potentially you've got a massive box office fight. You've got animosity there. You've got Needle there, and you've got a hell of a fight between two guys that really don't like each other. Benji, I mean, look, there's talk of Kanaki, Trevor Bryan, but ultimately Deontay needs to fight real soon. Dillian Whyte just come off a W. Why not make this fight straight away? Why not?
Politics, mate. It's money. It's politics. It's I don't, you know, legal proceedings. All of this stuff, you know, and it sticks. It does seem to stick out more in the heavyweight division than other divisions. And it seems to have a history of that in the heavyweight division of all kinds of middlemen getting involved and keeping fighters apart. I mean, look, I'd love to see it. The prospect of Whyte and Wilder has been a fight that I've really liked the sound of for years now. I think, you know, everything from the build-up, because both of them could talk a hell of a lot of shit, which is fantastic. It will really draw people in to how their styles actually mix in the ring, because obviously everyone's waiting.
Yeah, Kenny Ken's got to go. He's got an emergency, so
yeah.
No
all right, we'll just carry through the last 10 minutes.
But if they can get Whyte and Wilder in the ring, I'd pay pay-per-view for it. I'd really want to see it. I think it'd be a great contest, and it's just it ends in a stoppage. I don't see how that fight gets past maybe the 8th round. You know, it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious.
It's delicious. Yeah.
It's not for one. The fight's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
For two,
here's the voice of reality speaking.
For two, it wouldn't even get to 8 rounds. That fight's done by round 6.
6. Dillian stops him.
Yeah, quicker than what? Yeah, Dillian, because the blueprint's there. Wilder, back foot, done. You could probably beat him in less rounds when you're the type of fighter that don't get it twisted, because Wilder's dangerous. But if you're the type of pressure fighter, like brawler, like Dillian, I don't see it has to go even to 6 rounds, to be fair. Other fighters against Wilder, I could say Wilder will beat that geezer, or that geezer will beat Wilder, but in a different way. But with Dillian and Wilder, that's done and dusted quick. Next. And Wilder will never fight him because he knows he's been rumbled. He knows that unless Wilder clocks him one, what I'm saying, Dillian would go down. But he'd just be bum rushed. He'd be rushed.
I think for Wilder, that if you put yourself in Deontay Wilder's shoes and you look at Dillian Whyte and you weigh up the risk reward, you don't want to go there.
You don't want to, do you? We wouldn't mind seeing it, but it's not really going to happen. And like we said, we should give Dillian a break, mate. He's just had so many tough back-to-back fights. Like, I don't mind him taking a fight that's a little easier, because you have to think it's humanitarian to it's human to human. Like, leave the geezer alone in a little minute. He's just had a little bit of his family that, you know, I know he still wants to train, but you know, he's come off from a mad knockout. Yeah, the Povetkin thing wasn't majorly hard, but you know, you're still having your brain rattling around by bouncing up and down and exerting a lot of, you know, energy. Just have a little break, and the next fight you fight something just a little bit more mellower for him, and then ramp up the gears after. That's why I say Brian.
Just to segue. Yeah. I'm sorry to take us off topic, Pro Beez, because it's something that really annoys me is when people go off on a complete tangent. But there's a tenuous link there. I worry about Ted Cheeseman, who also boxed at the weekend.
Okay, yeah. Again, that was a great fight against Kid Shamrock, JJ Metcalf.
Ken Shamrock. You say Cam Shamrock. So I love watching Ted Cheeseman box. I think he's a really great guy. I've actually met him once briefly at the weigh-in for Hay and Bellew. Real nice kid and everything. But I mean, how many of these contests can you take? The wife was watching it with me, and she was like, wincing. I said, he's like 25 years old, you know. She went, no.
He's double the age.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, what you're saying about Dillian Whyte, he's had some hard fights. He needs some time off. And I can't disagree with that. I'd like to see Ted Cheeseman just take a little bit of time out there as well, because he's always in a war.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, all right, we've got to big up Sporting Icons, my guy. Sporting Icons. All right. Sporting Icons says Wilder can't sell out a phone box. Lost most of his fans with silly excuses, and he's got no belt. Dillian is the clear A side, so no way Wilder will take that fight.
You won't. You're right. You won't. We don't even know if Wilder's coming back again. Like, I don't understand why people keep throwing him into the mix. Let's wait until Wilder says something. And then, like, all the debates we can do is we can do our normal debates of his stupidness, and, you know, we can battle those other alphabet channels. I do that in my sleep. You know, stand by to my channel, because there's some madness coming on there. But what I'm saying is, when we're trying to do it's almost like fantasy matchups, like taking a fighter from the past to a fighter in the prime. Like, he's just like in the past. We don't know where he is. We don't know where he is.
Well, I mean, it's going to be pretty embarrassing, right, if Wilder makes his next fight against some person that's just not on the radar. You know, we've been talking about top 10s, elites, and what levels people are at. If Wilder comes back with a fight against a nobody, and people say, oh, it's a tune-up fight and that, and then equally, if the AJ Fury fight falls through and we end up with an AJ White rematch, a massive pay-per-view event worth millions, and then Fury fights Pianetta or Schwartz or someone like that, you know, these things are going to be very telling. You know, the boxing public are going to see that the likes of Anthony Joshua, you know,
number one.
Everyone wants to fight him, and whenever he gets in the ring, it's worth a hell of a lot of money. If the AJ Fury fight falls through, and Fury's then boxing in, you know, a half full Grand Garden Arena against, you know, in Las Vegas against a nobody, and then Wilder comes along and he comes out of his exile and then boxes a nobody, it's not going to look very good for these guys at all. But then again, if AJ and Fury falls through, we probably will see Fury Wilder 3, which is pointless, because I think Fury whoops him absolutely even easier next time. Even easier. There's no day of the week that I see Wilder beating Fury.
Me either. None.
All right, we're just going to go through a few more the viewers' comments. All right, so Sammy Ali.
Hi, Sammy.
All right, Sammy. All right, White will annihilate Wilder. He's like food, and he will eat him in one bite. Okay, so all right. There's a lot of support for Dillian Whyte, you know, against Dillian Wilder. A lot of support.
Because we know the reals. It's true.
All right.
You know, you've got Mr. Hater, Mr. Jones there. Joshua ain't number one in America. Get him up afterwards.
Oh, Mr. Jones. All right. Again. All right. Let's get to that. All right. Joshua ain't number one in America. Right. So are we saying that?
Yeah. Who is that?
Yeah. So who is Mr. Jones? I assume he's probably saying that Fury's number one in America.
Well, I mean, it's weird how this.
It must be an internet, because you don't hear me properly. I can hear you.
Yeah, no, you're back. You're back now. I'm just wondering about Mr. Jones.
I see.
I'm just wondering about Mr. Jones's geography. Maybe he thinks the world is one planet and America's a different one. But I mean, Americans do sort of see themselves that way.
Yeah, because I guarantee you, he says, because some of these lot think Deontay Wilder is the number one heavyweight, and he's the face of boxing.
But how do you define that? Because
by stats and numbers.
Well, I mean, to say
number one in his own country. We said this last week.
Well, you have. I mean, Mr. Jones, if he's saying that Fury or Wilder is bigger in America, they have to show that they've had the biggest numbers in terms of pay-per-view buys or ticket sales or whatever. on that metric. You know, when it comes down to facts and figures, I'm not going to argue that because numbers don't lie. You can't.
Yeah.
So, but it all depends on which metric you're defining something by.
Yeah, true.
All right, we've got a point here. Back to the fight on the weekend. I like Dillian, but I wasn't that impressed with the fight. I think it was more to do with how bad Povetkin was. Right. All right. This is boxing, you know. You can't please everyone, right? So there are some people that, like, there's a minority of people that think Povetkin just wasn't at the races on the weekend. I mean, what's your guys' kind of thoughts on that?
You can only beat what's in front of you. You know, the first round, I thought they both looked off balance. The first round kind of reminded me of that scene in Flash Gordon when Flash is fighting with Timothy Dalton on that fucking silver thing and it's all wobbling and they're all falling about the place. If you haven't seen Flash Gordon, you should. It's a hell of a film. But,
and it reminded me of Takam Parker.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Remember Takam Parker?
But this is it. They both kind of looked off balance, but obviously Povetkin more so because he was just sort of falling into the ropes and that. But Dillian Whyte can't stop halfway through the first round, turn to the ref and say, oh, call the fight off because, you know, he doesn't look like he's on balance or he looks like he's got long COVID or he looks a bit overweight. You know, bring him back when he's at full Povetkin. Right. You can't do that. You can only fight what's in front of you. So as I said at the top of the show, just before Lady Chann came in, rather than focusing on Povetkin not being what you want or hoped him to be, let's focus a bit more on Dillian Whyte's avenged this loss that a lot of people, I mean, even I was skeptical on that. And Dillian Whyte, fair play to him, shut me right the hell up. I should have more confidence in him. But he's beaten what was in front of him. You know, it's down to Povetkin to come out the best he can possibly be. That's it.
All right. I think we're going to close it there. Lady Chann, do you want to shout out your YouTube channel, get people to subscribe and follow you on social media?
Yeah, if you follow me on all of the socials, it's at Lady Chann, LadyChann. That's on Instagram, Twitter. Click on the bio, it brings you to my YouTube channel, which is Lady Chann, done them season, what you can see when I've typed in the comments there. So just search me, it's easy. Find me, click, like, comment, dislike, subscribe. Thanks, Poe, for having me yet again. Benj, big ups, always a pleasure to be on panel with you. Love it. And big up, Ken. Hope everything's well in the world of Kenny Ken.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a call in a moment. Yeah. All right, okay. Benji, you want to shout out your YouTube channel, social media handles?
The YouTube channel, I think I'm still Benji Boxing. I've started uploading again over the last couple of weeks, and already in my comments, people are coming at me. People
I'm coming over. I haven't seen
and the thing is, now I chew people up in my own comments section on my own channel, and they go to Pro Beez to tell me off. It's like Pro Beez is like my dad or my boss now.
I'm getting a couple of DMs about you, Benji. I'm getting a couple of DMs about you.
It's like Pro Beez put that boy Benji in line. So it's fantastic to be back doing YouTube and that. And dealing with, do it.
Send me the link, please, Benj. Send me the link, please.
I've commented on your channel a couple of times, so
so that's from your channel.
That's me. Yeah. That's my channel.
Sometimes they take your comments off. I don't know why. There was one comment that I could see at the front, and every time I clicked onto it, it was disappeared. But you can see the abuse that I get. The abuse.
I can't believe. Yeah, I mean,
you see the abuse I get.
I get nonsensical stuff, but I have to say, Lady Chann, what you get is just it's stupid. It is. There's no other word for it. It's just moronic. But hit me up on Twitter at the Benji Life on Twitter. And so hopefully I'm getting back into this YouTube thing. I'm doing some more uploading. As soon as I've got that laminate floor finished upstairs in the spare room, I'll be back on the YouTube. I'll tell you, a bit more consistent. But as Lady Chann said, I love doing these live chats, Pro Beez. They are absolutely fantastic. Chann, Kenny, I think we've got a good panel. I think it's a great panel.
Yeah, love it.
I don't care what people say, that if we're biased or casuals or this, that, or absolute fucking bias.
At the end of the day, we're here and you're watching.
Well, the thing is, if we're casuals, the bar to not being a casual is fucking high. Because if you think the four of us are casuals, you do not know our resumes. You do not know our resumes at all. Maybe that we'll go into that sometime. But yeah, if we're casuals, the bar is damn high.
Bloody high. Tell them again, Ben. Tell them again.
All right, guys, smash that like button, subscribe. Thanks for joining. Pep Talk UK, Lady Chann, Benji's Boxing. Shout out Kenny Ken. Thank you.
See you later.